All right, welcome to this Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco, coming at you live as we do every single day, Monday to Friday, noon to 2 Eastern. We're on Biz TV. We're also tracking it at the same time on Facebook. Hello to all our social media audience out there. Hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. Lots of crazy crap going on, but this weekend was like no other for me. Got to spend the whole time with my family, and these are the moments that we got to cherish. My mom's birthday was Saturday, and yesterday was Father's Day, so we had a Saturday, Sunday, backyard, the whole clan there, and nobody more important to me on earth than my mom and my kids and my brothers and my family, and it was quite the day. Thank God for that, to keep me sane. Got a lot of nice gifts. My kids bought me a pair of Ray-Bans, and my niece Ella and Todd, and cousin nephew Todd and Carrie got me this beautiful mug, telling me what a great father I am, because I am Ella's godfather. So that's the mug she got me, and I set it up, and here it is today. Today I already have my coffee out of it, and I'm probably going to need to fill it up with some Maker's Mark at some point because stuff is getting out of control. Just a quick update from last week. The woke cancel culture is all over our food family. As I mentioned last week, Aunt Jemima is no more. Okay, they're going to change that all out. No more Aunt Jemima. And I actually found an article where the family of Aunt Jemima is really ticked off about this whole thing. I want to read you a little something here. What about the families? Vera Harris, relative of the woman who portrayed Aunt Jemima, said the family takes pride in her being Aunt Jemima. Lillian Richard became a brand representative in 1925, and she was considered a hero in her hometown of Hawkins. And we're proud of her. We don't want that history erased. And further, she said that she made an honest living at it for years. She toured around Texas. There wasn't a lot of jobs, and especially for black women. So, you know, at one point in America, it seems becoming the brand, the face of the brand was quite the development. And these days, I guess they want to cancel good old Auntie Jemima out of our closets, and the Land O'Lakes Indian is there. Let's not forget about her. She's gone. And you know, I put it out on Facebook this weekend. It said, "Who else is next?" And our audience out there gave me some tremendous. My buddy Bob Granito said that the General Lee car, the Dodge Charger from the Dukes of Hazzard, will probably be canceled from the culture, and I don't disagree. We'll never see that again. Word out there that Eskimo pie is gone. There's no more Eskimo pie at all. They're going to rebrand the Eskimo pie. My buddy Louis Pica suggested that maybe Lucky Charms should go, so I'm holding them close to me now because I love Lucky Charms. And Barry Goldsmith suggests that Quaker Oats will now become Atheist Oats. And this just in, you're not going to believe this one, okay? But Ritz Crackers has just announced that they will no longer sell crackers, okay? The product going forward will be rebranded and known as the multicultural, gender-neutral wafer. Wow. And just on the other front, we're going to get to it a little later on. Great show coming up for you today. Dr. Keith Abloh is going to be with us. Tom Keogh from Kingsbridge Strategies talk about what's going on with China and salmon. And Fernando Uribe is going to check in with us to see what's going on in the Garden State. We got it all for you and more today coming up right after this.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Dems, the arugula pie, white arugula pie, fresh.
Fine, thanks. Will I see you on the screen?
Nah, you're not gonna see me. This is the way we got it set up here. I don't have it set up right.
Will you be able to hear him?
30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. When are you moving back to the studio, John, downtown? Are you ever going to do that?
I don't know. The landlord's just the last week or two busting my balls a little bit, but I don't know what the risk-reward ratio is of going back when I can get out of the lease, and I don't know when people are going to want to come back to the studio, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's New.
All right, welcome back. It is a Money Monday, and on Mondays we talk about your money. We talk about it every day. Dow just middling around, down about 10 points now. Bitcoin still holding strong at 9,500, but your money, in my view, is in danger until we have some safety and stability in our markets. A lot of artificial insemination in the market. The Fed, the Treasury pumping all kinds of money. They're buying junk bonds. They're buying corporate issuances. Lots of... my team doesn't like when I use artificial insemination. There's a lot of artificial stimulation in the market right now from the printing press are running day and night. And I, quite frankly, don't see a happy ending for this until the market totally cleans out all of this government money. But at the same time, one of the things that's been kind of swept under the rug is the tariff war we were in with China right before we coincidentally got hit with this, as the president coined it last night, Kung Flu virus. China had agreed to stop stealing our intellectual property and some tariffs, and then all of a sudden they whacked the global economy. But somebody who's been a trade advisor for years, who understands the U.S.-China relations, the CEO of Kingsbridge Strategies, Tom Keogh, joins us right now. And Tom, I heard a couple of weeks back ago, I reported that China had ordered all government-owned companies to stop buying soybeans from America for the time being. So that's one of our biggest exports to China, so that they can feed the pigs and sell us the pork back. But now they're talking about, because of COVID, they're going to ban salmon imports, and they're the biggest exporter. How much does this hurt the U.S., and is this another cog, another piece of the Jenga pile coming out?
Well, two things happened in the past couple of days. One, the salmon, which I want to talk to you about, but over the weekend, they banned Tyson chicken. So Tyson's 25% of the world poultry market. I mean, they're the biggest player in poultry. So we don't know what's going on. I mean, some health official in Beijing tried to lay claim that COVID hitchhiked its way into China on salmon. There is no proof to that. And biologically, you can talk to any scientist you want or epidemiologist. The COVID virus can't hook its way onto a salmon, live or dead, or a chicken. And poultry and seafood in the United States and in the free world are some of the most regulated and sanitarily clean items to eat. If you went into some of these salmon with poultry processing plants, they're immaculate. It was about 10 or 15 years ago they realized that listeria or just some bacteria can be transferred from the skin of poultry to other foods. So quite often now you go into a restaurant, you see that they have separate cutting boards in certain restaurants, in all restaurants, just for chicken, just to keep it further, clean. But China's, they may be cutting off their nose to spite their face on this. The global salmon market is on its heels right now. You've got some very big players, Maui, Leroy, Marine Harvest, which used to be owned by Unilever, which you probably reported on, is now part of Maui. These are companies that are traded on some of the European stock exchanges. Globally, the price, what they call the ex-gate or ex-vessel price to salmon, has dropped precipitously, and China's literally closed the border to salmon. There's no salmon coming into China. all on the order of the government. The supermarkets have taken it out of off the shelves. Now, then Friday, some Beijing health minister kind of walked back their comments, but the damage has been done.
So,
You know,
Tom, if I'm hearing you right, um, basically in China right now, no chicken and no fish, no salmon. So, is China trying to make their country a vegan country? Are they going vegetable only now, or what? What are they eating over there?
well, I think a lot of this is, and I saw an interesting interview the other day with that General Jack Keane, who used to be the chief of the army, and now he's a consultant for some big think tank. And he's great. He's got a very measured approach to a lot of this. And he said, look, China is flexing its muscles again. They've done what they just did to Hong Kong, where they took the autonomy away from Hong Kong. They just had a border skirmish up in the Himalayan mountains in Nepal and Bhutan area with India and killed 20 Indian soldiers. They flew jets over Taiwan. So they're starting to flex their muscles again, spread their wings. This is some of their MO because they're under criticism by the free world for the way they handled what they're supposed to do through the World Health Organization, share their information right away about the corona or the Wuhan virus. It's not politically correct to call it that. So, no, they're not becoming a vegan culture, John. But, look, again, you and I have had this conversation numerous times. China is a communist country. If you travel there, as I have many times, you can't get out on the internet. You can't see any of the television or news reporting that we like to see. They control everything and they spoon feed it to their people. So nothing has changed. They control the media. They control everything. Your show would not exist in China.
I would imagine it wouldn't. So
you'd be in jail, John. You'd have been in jail a long time ago.
All right, well, look, if I keep up the way I'm going, I may be in jail for being on TV here with some of the antics that I pull off, but you never know. Not as long as Trump is president, that's for sure. But so, Tom, now in China, they're actually taking all salmon products like off the shelves. Grocers are not.
They've taken them off the shelves. They're not allowing them into the country. So, look, Norway, Iceland, Finland, Scotland. These are enormous. They're small countries, small population. Seafood processing is a big part of their economic GDP. And especially in most of those big companies up in Norway and Scandinavia are traded on various stock exchanges. The Norwegian Stock Exchange, for one, they have nowhere to go. I mean, they can come to the United States, but the market price on salmon has collapsed because China is the biggest taker, the biggest consumer, and they're not taking now.
A lot of salmon. Also, I used to have a great client, the Alaska Federal Credit Union. I used to go up to Alaska every couple of years, and a lot of salmon comes out of Alaska. I don't know if you saw this news yesterday that Eskimo pies are now being eliminated. The ice cream Eskimo pie is apparently racially insensitive. So
they're taking down Theodore Roosevelt's statue from the Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, but I mean, enough is enough. I mean, the Eskimos are getting hit on the salmon trade, and they're getting hit on the Eskimo pies in the same week. I mean, what are these guys going to do?
I'm a member of the National Fisheries Institute. It sounds like a think tank, but it happens to be the biggest seafood trade association in America. And they're concerned that, will this ban on shipping of salmon into China have a ripple effect? There's no scientific proof to it, but China's a big buyer, so they get away with a lot of this stuff. I think a lot of it, they're just sticking it to us right now.
And this could actually have, of course, the collateral effect here in the U.S. that there's a glut of salmon on the market. The salmon prices are going to go down.
Oh, the salmon prices have collapsed already, John. The salmon prices have collapsed by about a third already, maybe even further since this happened. And a lot of the salmon exporters in various parts of the world have no place to go with their salmon. They get backed up on. So it's, you touched on it real briefly. Pompeo, our Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, flew to Hawaii last week and met with his counterpart, this Xi Jinping or Yang Jishin, who is their Secretary of State, and they met. I think that both sides are trying to hold this trade deal, again, that you and I have talked about numerous times together. But boy, oh boy, between what they did in India last week, they literally, murdered 10 I mean, 20 Indian soldiers and captured another 10 or 15, which they subsequently released. What they just did in Hong Kong, what they've been doing in Hong Kong for the past year, what's going on with this coronavirus, with the World Health Organization. Now they're banning the importation of Tyson poultry and also any sort of salmon products. China is, they're putting a mark in the sand, and they're going to be they're making it very difficult to deal with for President Trump, for Ambassador Lighthizer, who, I interact with his people as a trade advisor to the USTR. It's going to be very difficult to hold this deal together and to move to phase two. And you made a comment earlier in the beginning, John, about soybeans. For whatever reason, our export data from the customs authorities, you think they'd have it instantaneously, just like you can do banking instantaneously, but it seems to lag a month or two behind. So we don't have data, or at least they're not releasing it, as to where we are here in the latter parts of June in terms of China fulfilling their commitments that they made to us in January and buying U.S. product. We're going to find out real quick.
All right, well, we got to have you back soon, my friend. If I were you, I'd go out and get an Eskimo pie today before they're off the shelves, too. But we'll check back in with you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Nice
Tom
to hear
Keogh,
your voice.
CEO,
Appreciate it.
Kingsbridge Strategies, great friend of mine in the show. Take a quick break. Come back right after this with some news of the day. The news with the booze, of course, right after this.
Welcome back, folks. I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes.
How's it working?
I'm still corona free.
Didn't even wipe your fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November. And Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of
Against weed, but for guns, right? There's all these different, and to me, the palette is the middle, is different shades of purple, and that's who's going to decide this election. Right?
Figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Got black and sleep in my body, cause Joseph told me nobody black voting for Trump is swarthy. Joe Biden, thanks for the guidance. So where do I turn this black card and mail it into somebody who made you the white man in charge of the black authority? Joe Biden, the biggest headache that I've had in my life. Not the first time you've been a black man's vice. Claiming you know about me, about that black man's plight. What the acting? You would rather give a black man life. That's Joe. Extending prison sentences in 94. Joe. Ripping father figures from inside the home. Joe, you grew up in the burbs, just be silent, Joe. Joe, you don't know the herd, you will never know. You try to stop spending free money for veterans, you plagiarize speeches. Speaking impediment, I'll never vote Joe. But Biden for president, Trump 2020 is still keeping my melanin. Joe.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube. Do a search for Liquid Lunch TV and hit that subscribe button.
I love the song. They're getting crazy on Trump about saying Kung Flu, and the song's been out for years. Everybody's Kung Flu fighting. That's exactly what we're doing, and they're going nuts on the guy. I gotta pause it because the Facebook's gonna say that I'm promoting Kung Flu and I'm banned because my name's tobacco, and it sounds like I'm promoting tobacco products. So, but a little joking there, a little satire. But president under major attack for saying that some people have called it the Kung Flu, referencing that maybe it came from China. The last time I checked, the art of Kung Fu came from China. So it is quite a, good little satire to say Kung Flu. That's kind of comedy in these days, but I don't know. I guess you can't joking around out there. And a woman who was lauded in her time, Aunt Jemima, who was played by, let's get this right, Vera Harris, says, her niece says that Lillian Richard was a hero in their town for being selected to portray Aunt Jemima. And she did, 300 tours and all this other stuff. But, I did a little homage yesterday when the kids came over for Father's Day and everything, and we said our final goodbyes. And I have them here before I dispose of them, my Aunt Jemima and my Land O'Lakes. The Land O'Lakes Indian was also going to be rebranded. This guy I'm holding on to for dear life because, the Irish leprechaun, he may be under attack. We don't know. But more importantly, what I could tell you is this. COVID has, reappeared, okay? And the big news is spikes everywhere. Spikes in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Spikes in Arizona. Spikes in all red states. But you don't hear about spikes in any of the blue states where they have all these rallies because that wouldn't fit the narrative. Let me just show you a stat. And I've been following Worldometer for months now. They give you just clean stats, okay? There are approximately 8 billion humans on Earth. Total cases on Earth, 9 million. So, just about 1% of the Earth has got the COVID virus, okay? That's just how many people have got it. And by the way, we are doing more testing than any country on Earth now. So when they keep saying cases, of course there's going to be more cases. We're doing more testing. We had I think in the last 2 months, we had 25 million cases, tests done, and they were all pounding the president. We did testing. Now, guess what? We're doing the testing. Of course, cases found is going to go up. The important one, hospitalizations, ICU admissions, all those numbers are down to negligible numbers except for a couple of small hotspots around. And the main number, no matter how many cases they say there is, the main number to me is survival rate, okay? And we've had, just about 500,000 deaths in the world from coronavirus out of 8 billion people. So a little simple math. That's 0.05% of all humans on Earth. So that means 99.95, not 99.5, 99.95, 5 basis points, people have perished from the coronavirus. So as they keep talking about cases, just listen for one thing. What's the survival rate? If the survival rate starts to go up, then maybe we have a problem. But until then, shut up, okay? Syrup and butter are on their way out. That's a known fact now. And when I hear there's Aunt Jemima and Land O'Lakes on my kitchen table, we had our final goodbyes yesterday over Father's Day bagels and pancakes. And we'll no longer have another couple of members of our food family. Uncle Ben not pictured there. I couldn't get a photo of Uncle Ben because I was out of rice. Some people have posited to me that white rice is now offensive to them. So you never know, white rice might be gone. The White House might come under attack. We may have to call it the Gray House or something like that. I don't know. And from what I understand, although Donald Trump no longer runs his conglomerate of companies, over the years he's had Trump Water, Trump Wine, Trump Steaks. And from what I hear, his family, or the company that runs Trump Enterprises, is going to try to fill that void left by Aunt Jemima. And we're coming out for the campaign season with this, Uncle Don's MAGA syrup. And you gotta love that. I mean, if Aunt Jemima doesn't do it for you anymore, maybe you want to switch over to Uncle Don's MAGA syrup. And that might offend more people than Aunt Jemima impersonators being on the bottle. So it may be the most divisive syrup yet, and we don't know. And then, of course, while we're canceling everything, and while the left-wing media this morning, I wanted to throw up watching Morning Joe, they're talking about how Donald Trump's rally was half full. First of all, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not the brightest bulb in the electrical closet, came out and praised these Gen Zers and these TikTokers for reserving tickets to the Trump rally and then not showing up. So they outsmarted Brad Parscale a little bit here by clogging up the airwaves, taking down seats, and then no one shows up for them. They also had rallies outside where people were getting into skirmishes. And quite frankly, as much as I love Trump, as much as most of America that I know loves Trump, they're not going to go stand in the street, potentially get hit by a brick, to go into a rally where they can't have a seat. There was supposed to be an overflow outside, but because of the shenanigans with the AOC crowd, we had less than stellar showing. But for the first one, he was fantastic. And I mean, he was talking about how he called his wife and said, "Darling, how was my speech?" She said, "You're trending on Twitter." And he said, "Oh, they must have loved my speech." She said, "No, you apparently have Parkinson's because you couldn't walk down a ramp and you couldn't lift a cup of water." And he explained how he holds his hand under his water so he doesn't drip it on his tie, which is a thing that I've known about myself personally. But more importantly, Joe Biden also had a rally the other day in Pennsylvania for 20 small business owners. And let's just do a comparison as they're talking about. There's Trump's rally. Yes, the upper deck is empty. The lower tier is full to the gills. The floor is not as full as it is for a Trump rally. But just take a look at the other side there, if you will. 20 business owners were invited. They sat in circles. You see there's even empty seats. So they couldn't get 20 people in a room for Joe Biden. But Donald Trump's 10,000 is a major issue for the Trump campaign. We'll keep you posted on that and more. Coming back at you right after this with Fernando Uribe from Politically Direct on Insider NJ.
I'm President Donald Trump, and I have the greatest hair you've ever seen. If you watch Liquid Lunch, you'll see that John Tobacco has probably one of the worst hairlines ever. But watch it anyway. It's a good show.
Welcome back. It is a Money Monday, and we usually have on the Money guests on Money Monday. Nico, of course, has to keep using the same John DiDomenico clip where he makes fun of my hairline. But it is kind of funny. John's funny. I don't know if you noticed, but because of that, I've been trying to do my hair a little more to the side now to make the hairline look a little better. But if nothing else, Nico, you're inspiring me, and thank you for that. It's a rare occurrence. But what is even more rare is that Joe Biden can get more than 20 people in the room. And we talked about it a little in the last segment, but as the mainstream media continues to bash Trump about how there wasn't enough people in the rally, and there was, by all accounts, between 6,000 and 10,000, somewhere in there, lots of people outside who couldn't get in because of the Gen Zers. But just look at this split screen. On one side, with the little white circles and the empty seats in a room for 20, that's Joe Biden's small business roundtable in Pennsylvania last week. Okay, and that's Donald Trump in the middle of a pandemic with Antifa outside surrounding the building, giving people a hard time trying to get in. So you would imagine that, there was talk over the weekend that they said that the debates aren't mandatory. They may try to keep Joe Biden out of debates. And now it seems there is mounting evidence that the Democratic Party is petrified of the comparison between their convention and the Republican convention. And somebody who knows a little more about this than even me, the host of Politically Direct on Insider NJ, good friend of mine and regular Monday contributor, Fernando Uribe, joins me right now. Hey, Fernando, how are you?
John, good afternoon. Great to be back on.
It's always great to have you. And so it seems like these Democrats are really, turding their pants over the comparison. And even though yesterday may have been less than expected, it's still a contrast they can't put out there for people to eat. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, John, a couple of things. Tom Perez, the chair of the DNC, has gone on record as saying that there are still some logistics to be worked out for the DNC convention in Wisconsin, which we all know is a very crucial state to them. Come November, they lost Wisconsin in 2016. They can't afford to lose it again. But as we know that the convention was originally scheduled for mid-July, that's no longer the case. It'll be the second week of July, obviously being followed by the RNC. And again, the optics don't look good for Democrats. We know that Joe Biden is not an inspiring candidate. That's nothing new. But the idea of how the DNC wants to sort of navigate the parameters of the pandemic in Milwaukee, I think remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, Democrats have to be concerned about, A, who will be attending, and B, whether or not there'll be enough enthusiasm in Milwaukee to cheer Joe Biden on.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's enthusiasm anywhere for Joe Biden that I can really tell. It seems like it's a Geritol commercial at best, and that to me that contrast right there with the little room with the circles, and Trump was able to get 6, 7, 8,000 people in an arena. I think it just shows half the country is over this COVID stuff and they want to move forward. And half the country wants to hang on to it so that they can get their political will imposed by getting Joe Biden in office. And I think it's quite scary, Fernando, to me, because they may just keep Joe in hiding the whole time.
No, it really is scary. And I think it's, again, alarming for the Democratic Party as to why Joe Biden isn't riling up more enthusiasm, especially with the younger voters. This is a guy who, as you can tell, is not speaking well lately. Is a guy whose record is going to come back to haunt him. And if I can just add this, though, you can tell that the enthusiasm for the RNC is overwhelming. I mean, you'll be happy to know, John, that I'll be representing the state of New Jersey as an honorary delegate at the RNC in Jacksonville. So believe me, I'm looking forward to going down to Florida and representing New Jersey at the RNC. But there's just a lot of electricity within the party itself. And you saw it with people going to Tulsa, Oklahoma on Saturday, despite the Antifa and other protesters making it difficult for attendees to enter the premises. But as you can tell around the country, there's another rally coming up soon. The president has a lot of momentum. I know it wouldn't seem that way with the fake media, and especially with the liberal media, the way they try to, paint every single event of the president's as a failure or as that he's not getting the turnout. Listen, there's a silent majority in this country, John, that are quietly supporting the president. They're not going to answer the polls. They're going to answer at the polls on November 3rd.
So, the president also, he's racking up numbers in all these places where there's a uncontested primary, basically, but people are still going out to show their support. I got to tell you, in Staten Island, New York, and New York City is quite blue, but in Staten Island, New York, in the Republican primary last time, we had 85% of Richmond County voted for Donald Trump. And I see that Trump is coming out with numbers in these uncontested primaries that dwarf even Obama's numbers.
Absolutely. They're dwarfing Obama's numbers, and they're even dwarfing George W. Bush as he entered re-election in 2004. So the president still has his base, and you saw it on Saturday. There was just a lot of enthusiasm for his message, and it wasn't just some sort of entertainment type of, promo on Saturday. I mean, he talked policy. That's what the liberal media forgets to discuss during their telecast. He discussed policy. He discussed what an America under Joe Biden's leadership would look like. And it's not a very rosy picture. And this is why Democrats quietly behind the scenes are concerned.
Yeah, no, it seems like every time I see Tom Perez on TV, I feel like he's sweating. You know what I'm saying? He's like really cornered, and some of the leadership they have there, him, Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, I don't see a really powerful machine there, and I really think, Fernando, that they're going to try to come up with Michelle Obama as his running mate. That's how bad I think they see things going.
You know what? I don't disagree with you, but I've seen some other names that should also raise concerns. U.S. Senator Kamala Harris out of California, former gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams out of Georgia. And this is something that, people need to do their homework on, because Joe Biden right now is showing clear signs of deterioration. And I think that this election, more than anyone that I can recall in my lifetime, is very important, because this selection of a vice president is going to be the one basically taking over for Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is just going to continue to decline before our very eyes. And just imagine for a moment, John, how destructive of a country it would be with someone like Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams, or even the mayor of Atlanta, who is now in the news cycle, even Michelle Obama, a woman who I get, fine. A lot of people loved her and revered her for 8 years, but this is a woman who no longer can practice law. This is a woman with sort of a very shady background. And I'm sorry, if this is the best Joe Biden can come up with, it's not going to propel people to go to the polls on November 3rd, John. I just don't understand why Democrats have to pander. Listen, pick the best candidate to be your VP. Don't pander because it has to be a woman or someone of color. I get it. Those are the identity politics, bread and butter of the Democratic Party.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it sure seems like everything they're fighting for, they're throwing out the window now by pigeonholing it. Well, it must be a woman. It must be a black woman. So I think it's the opposite of what they want. But thanks for joining us, as always, my friend. Keep pounding it with the Insider NJ, Insider Direct, and I hear you killing it out there. I see all your social medias are going up like crazy. So
Thank you,
we'll
John.
see you again next Monday.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Most financially successful people own assets that make them money while they sleep. They usually own real estate, vehicles, intellectual property, equipment, and more. These assets make passive income through leases, subscriptions, royalties, and fees that don't require time, energy, or attention. Your assets do the work, and you collect the check. So what kind of asset should you buy? The most valuable companies in the world, like Amazon, Google, and Apple, all have the same thing in common. They make a majority of their revenue from data technology assets, storing, collecting, processing, and providing data. It's all about the data. What if you could own data tech assets with a low upfront cost? Introducing Apex, a proprietary technology built to process and mine data and render artificial intelligence and 3D gaming at exceptionally high rates. Apex Tech has partnered with SafeTech, a subsidiary of a publicly traded company called InvestView. SafeTech's business model leverages Apex technology to disrupt the multi-trillion-dollar data tech industry, giving you the competitive advantage. SafeTech's growth strategy is to capture a significant share of the market. SafeTech will enter into a 60-month lease with owners of Apex Systems. Why would they do that? Why not just buy all the equipment themselves? The same reason most companies lease instead of own: to scale quickly without the upfront costs and for the tax benefits. So how do you get started? You purchase an Apex system. Then you can lease it to SafeTech for 60 months at a rate of $500 per month. That's a total of $30,000 paid to you over the life of the lease. So what's your responsibility besides purchasing the Apex system? Nothing. During the lease, SafeTech is responsible for any maintenance costs to keep things running for you. Just collect a check every month for the next 60 months. This tremendous financial opportunity positions you to follow the strategies of the financially successful. You can leverage data technology to produce passive income that generates revenue without your time, energy, or effort. This is what is meant by creating multiple streams of income. But the opportunity to participate will not last forever. If this concept fits your financial goals, take action today while you still have the chance.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco, coming at you live as we do every single day. For now, from the Corona Bunker Studios in my living room in Staten Island, New York. Hopefully one of these days we'll get back into New York City to the studio. And right here in New York City, we've entered phase 2. So a little bit of the stress is off many small business owners' minds. Restaurants can open with outdoor dining. Salons can do haircuts again. So maybe people will, their fuses will be a little more extended than what was happening over the last couple of months. Now, you know, we try to look at all angles on what's happening. And I know I'm freaking out. I haven't spent this much time in my home since probably I was an infant. So I know I'm not thinking straight sometimes. And then, you're looking around at yourself and that bottle of Jack Daniels over there, and you start having a few drinks when you don't need them, and you have a few more, and you start thinking even more cockeyed. But to get your head straight, to try to figure out how you can get yourself positioned to start moving forward and deal with things in a stressful situation, I'm joined right now by an expert in this field. Leah Lagos joins us. She's an internationally renowned health and performance psychologist specializing in heart rate variability biofeedback. She's also the author of Heart, Breath, Mind, which comes out on August 11th, and you got to go check that out. Leah, thanks for giving us a few minutes today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, John. Great to be here.
So let's take me to start off. I know that you've done all things great. You help NFL teams, you work with sports teams, you do evaluations, psychological assessments, and you try to teach people how to use heart rate variability and biofeedback techniques to calm themselves, to make decisions under pressure, right? Before we even get to my decision making, which has been poor before I was quarantined, do you do this performance psychology work as a practice? Like, the people come see you one-on-one, or do you do it with organizations in seminar format?
All of the above. I have people that come in for one-on-one meetings. I have people across the world, and they come and meet with me first in person, then we work virtually via Zoom. And I have hedge funds and corporations that I work with their teams, both as teams and individuals of the team.
So, Leah, I've been on Wall Street 30 years, and one of the things that I've found a little cottage industry for myself is reading books and manuals on body language, right? And I tend to, by knowing some simple things on body language, I can really tell when someone's stressed, when someone's struggling, when they're giving me an answer that they're having a hard time spitting it out. There's usually a reason. I flag that as a fact or a data point that I want to go back and check when I see that while they're talking to me, they're putting a hand on their chin or over their mouth. There's the biofeedback. What are some things that people can do for themselves to keep themselves stress-free, to make a good decision, even at home at this point?
Sure. For so many years, John, we've thought about managing stress as a head thing. And I'm a clinical psychologist, a doctor of psychology by trade. I believe in cognitive behavioral techniques for mindfulness and stress reduction. But to start first and foremost, before you get to that, with managing how the body manages stress. It will expedite any other techniques that you use. And your heart rhythms, believe it or not, when you see someone jittery, can't sit still, itching their palms, profusely sweating during performance situations, that's somebody who all the self-talk in the world isn't going to change their stress response, much like all of us. But actually having control over how your heart responds during these critical moments of stress does impact our mood, our anxiety, how our body responds, perspiration, body temperature, focus. And so I've spent the last 15 years working with peak performers to help them gain control over their heart rhythms and how they therefore manage stress. So one of the tips you can do at home right here, right now, is to download a breath pacer, any breath pacer. There's multiple ones for free on your phone, and set it to a 4 on an inhale and a 6 on an exhale. And taking 10 of these power breaths, focusing on your ideal state, calm on the inhale, letting go of the stressor, calm on the inhale, letting go of the stressor, helps you gain a little bit more control over your heart rhythms and therefore your mind during these moments. Believe it or not, we found that systematically breathing at this rate, the next step, not just using it in the moment, but training a reflex for how you manage stress, happens if you do this 20 minutes twice a day for 10 weeks. And you even see, John, an increase in diameter size of the blood vessels. Oh my gosh, what does that mean?
Wow, wait. I want to, before I forget this, I want to ask you this. So you said inhale on a 4 and exhale on a 6. So what does that mean? Like every four inhales, you do 6 exhales?
Same breath. So a 4-second inhale, counting to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 as you inhale, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as you exhale. And there are numerous breath pacers that you can download to your phone that will do that for you.
So inhale, exhale is 10 seconds.
Exactly.
And then you want me to sit there and do that for 20 minutes, 2 times a day.
For the most optimal results.
So I would do the equivalent of 1,200 inhale, exhales, because each one is 10 seconds.
I love the math. I can see you've been on Wall Street. Believe it or not, it's this systematic training. If you want a muscle, you can't just do 2 reps at the gym. You have to have systematic practice. What we found scientifically through research in the last 2 decades is that this actually develops a reflex in your heart that helps you modulate blood pressure and heart rate. And by week 7, starts to change and improve blood and oxygen flow to the brain.
Okay. So I'm in a meeting, and all of a sudden they ask me a question that I may not have been prepared for, or hits me with something. And now I have to ask for a 20-minute break to go in the bathroom and do my mind training? Or is it muscle memory where I just start reminding myself, okay, this is where we do a couple deep breaths and go into the program?
That's a really great point. So the whole point of this is so in the moment you can modulate within seconds. So you're not taking 20 minutes. Okay. And so that's the difference between week 1 and week 7. We're doing the systematic practice. So in the moment, you can regulate with the precision of a Ferrari instead of a Volvo.
Got it.
So I've gotten people to the Olympics. I've gotten people to make money in the stock market. Why? They can control their decision making, or just that ability to modulate their body in the moment very tightly.
That's Leah Lagos, PhD. She's a clinical psychologist and one of the best out there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this with more Liquid Lunch. You know, it continues to, foment this idea that Joe Biden, just a month and a half or so, on with Charlemagne the God on New York City radio on 98, I think it's 98.7, The Breakfast Club. And Joe Biden uttered these words: if you're still not sure if you should vote for me or Donald Trump, then you ain't black. So, I had a long conversation with some family members who, many of them are conservative, but some are moderate. Some family friends were over this weekend who were quite liberal. And we're all kind of in agreement, generally, that when you say, if you're not going to vote for me, you ain't black, that kind of just talks down to people. And regardless if he said, hey, if you're Asian and you don't vote for me, then you ain't Asian. You can't take away someone's identity because and their race because they haven't decided to line up with your political ideologies. That's almost saying, look, if you're black, you know what you got to do. You got to vote for Joe Biden, and if you don't, you ain't black. So you're no longer what you've been humanly your whole life if you decide that you don't want to vote for the author of the 94 crime bill, for example, which by all accounts has incarcerated more minorities than any other thing for nonviolent crimes. And he's also bragged about it. Hey, I authored the 94 crime bill. Kamala Harris is looked at now as a viable choice for running mate. She was a prosecutor. She put many people in jail for the 94 crime bill. So I don't know. But, I'm seeing more and more black voices try to get the word out on social media and other stuff. And I came across this video, which was, in my view, well done. And it was also quite humorous and family friendly. So here's one rapper's take on Joe Biden saying, you ain't black.
Figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Got blackness leaving my body, cause Joseph told me nobody black voting for Trump is swarthy. Joe Biden, thanks for the guidance. So where do I turn this black heart and mail it into somebody who made you the white man in charge of the black authority? Joe Biden, the biggest headache that I've had in my life. Not the first time you've been a black man's vice. Claiming you know about me, about that black man's plight. With the acting, you would rather give a black man life. That's Joe. Extending prison sentences in 94. Joe. Ripping father figures from inside the home. Joe, you grew up in the burbs, just be silent, Joe. Joe, you don't know the herd, you will never know. You try to stop spending, free money for veterans. You plagiarize speeches, speaking impediment. I'll never vote Joe, but Biden for president. Trump 2020 and still keeping my melanin. Joe.
Not bad. I mean, I thought it was quite sane, quite poignant. I liked it a lot. And you know, we need more people. Look, I'm not even registered in a party, so I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am literally not affiliated with a party. And all this socially liberal stuff, you know, the rainbow flag is flying proudly over this show. You want to smoke pot? Smoke away. You want to abort a child? Not my cup of tea, but still your choice. These things don't affect what I think of you as a person. I'm socially liberal. Fiscally, I'm conservative. I want lower taxes. I want states' rights. I want public safety. I want security. I want a good military. That's what the government is supposed to give me, okay? And there has to be, Trump, to me, in his rally this weekend, he hit one major line, and he said, the silent majority is strong. And when they're showing you all these polls, all this crap in the polls, and people keep texting me, JT, I'm so scared, these polls. The polls are rigged. The polls are flawed. Okay? They poll registered voters. There's more registered voters than the Democrats than Republicans. And by the way, there's more independents like me than Republicans and Democrats combined. And that silent majority, in my view, is still strong. We'll take a quick break, come back with more Liquid Lunch right after this. Bob Golden, son of the inventor of Snapple Beverages, is going to be here to talk about retail sales right after this.
Most financially successful people own assets that make them money while they sleep. They usually own real estate, vehicles, intellectual property, equipment, and more. These assets make passive income through leases, subscriptions, royalties, and fees that don't require time, energy, or attention. Your assets do the work, and you collect the check. So what kind of asset should you buy? The most valuable companies in the world, like Amazon, Google, and Apple, all have the same thing in common. They make a majority of their revenue from data technology assets, storing, collecting, processing, and providing data. It's all about the data. What if you could own data tech assets with a low upfront cost? Introducing Apex, a proprietary technology built to process and mine data and render artificial intelligence and 3D gaming at exceptionally high rates. Apex Tech has partnered with SafeTech, a subsidiary of a publicly traded company called InvestView. SafeTech's business model leverages Apex technology to disrupt the multi-trillion-dollar data tech industry, giving you the competitive advantage. SafeTech's growth strategy is to capture a significant share of the market. SafeTech will enter into a 60-month lease with owners of Apex Systems. Why would they do that? Why not just buy all the equipment themselves? The same reason most companies lease instead of own, to scale quickly without the upfront costs and for the tax benefits. So how do you get started? You purchase an Apex system. Then you can lease it to SafeTech for 60 months at a rate of $500 per month. That's a total of $30,000 paid to you over the life of the lease. So what's your responsibility besides purchasing the Apex system? Nothing. During the lease, SafeTech is responsible for any maintenance costs to keep things running for you. Just collect a check every month for the next 60 months. This tremendous financial opportunity positions you to follow the strategies of the financially successful. You can leverage data technology to produce passive income that generates revenue without your time, energy, or effort. This is what is meant by creating multiple streams of income. But the opportunity to participate will not last forever. If this concept fits your financial goals, take action today while you still have the chance.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Reopening begins here in New York. We're in different phases all across the country. Right here in New York, they're going to be open. Restaurants are going to be open for outdoor dining. Stores are going to be open. Retail stores are going to be open again. Salons, you can get haircuts and nails again done. So little by little, it seems like retail may be bouncing back, but there's still a lot of questions. Like there's volatility in the stock market. The left-wing media continues to report about spikes and cases and all this other stuff. The main thing you need to know is the survival rate continues to be quite static, and if nothing else, maybe even going up the survival rate, because they're saying the virus may have mutated. So get out there and start spending some money. But retail seems to have rebounded very well. And joining us right now to talk about that is Bob Golden. Bob is the founder of Trio Organic Fruit and Birch Water. He's also joined by Brian O'Byrne, who's the president of the new company. Bob, let me ask you first. You are an entrepreneur. Your dad was the inventor of the world-famous Snapple iced tea products and tea products. You look at these statistics, national retail sales rebounded 17.7% in May as people started opening after the lockdown. Do you see this continuing, or do you see a bump here and then it's going to come back to earth?
I do. We are seeing a big bump in sales now for Trio. Since May, the month of June, we picked up thousands more accounts in the areas that we're in, and from all that's happening, we see stores continue to reopen and sales to grow.
Tremendous.
Like in New York, just to jump in here, Bobby. In New York, they said that because of COVID, like about 10,000 accounts shut down because there was the lockdown, then the exodus from the city. But thankfully, this is coming back, and it seems to be coming back at around 500 stores a week, and I think even more so because so many people went back to work just on Monday last week, and it continues to grow. So,
all right. So you got famous genes when it comes to successful beverage brands. What's different about your new product, Trio Organic Fruit and Birch Water? I know you guys are getting some benefits. 4,500 new accounts nationwide. You look to get up to 11,000 by July. But what do our audience need to know? Why do they have to look for the Trio Organic Fruit and Birch Water? What's special about this?
Trio is the modern version of what Snapple was. If Snapple was created today, it would be Trio. It's great tasting, which is something like my family always wanted to make a great tasting drink. It's all natural, organic. It's plant-based. Now it's only 10 calories. It's only 1 gram of sugar. And it's vegan friendly. It has 0 Weight Watchers points. It's everything that the consumer is looking for today.
So I think there's a whole movement here we can see, John, moving to products that are better for you, healthier for you. And moms as kind of gatekeepers, they want their kids to be drinking good stuff. There's no excuse anymore to get, when people say, soda or soft drinks, you get fat on soft drinks. There's no excuse for doing that when you could have offerings like Trio, which, as Bobby said, were all natural, organic, 10 calories, 1 gram of sugar.
And it's a guilt-free drink, 1 gram of sugar, 10 calories.
And it tastes great. Have you tried it, by the way?
I have not tried it.
We'll have to remedy that. We'll send you over a kit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little scotch and water. On Liquid Lunch, we tend to tip a little cocktail every so often. Maybe we'll do a little scotch and organic fruit and birch water. That might go down
really
nice.
Good as a mixer too. It mixes well with vodka or tequila too.
Yeah, we actually say it's alcohol friendly. That's
alcohol friendly. You should come out with the Trio infused club soda with the alcohol in it. Those things are killing it right now. Bob, let me ask you this: where is the majority of your concentration? I happen to know a lot about Snapple because one of my good friends from high school and college actually bought a Snapple route before anyone even knew what Snapple was, and he's a wealthy man now because of it. He bought it when he was like 22 years old with every last penny he had. Where are you guys concentrating right now? You're back in the New York markets around the country. Where can you find Trio?
What we've got, John, is we've got the polar distribution from New Hampshire down to Connecticut. We've got Pepsi for the whole of New York. And then we've got the Canada Dry system from that down to Norfolk, Virginia. And then in the Midwest, we're actually using the Budweiser system because a lot of the beer companies now say, well, we can put other stuff on our trucks, not alone beer. So they're taking on non-alcoholic beverages. So we're kind of doing really well with that.
Is there any way regular investors can get in on this?
We're actually at the moment considering a raise. I mean, initially Bobby self-funded the whole thing, and so now we're considering, in order to prove the concept. He didn't want to take money from people that he knew or whatever until we had proof of concept. So I think what we have that now, and so we are thinking about going out to raise more so that we can expand our distribution even a lot further than we have at the moment.
Got it. You think I've been saying for a while that as I'm a market guy, my background's in short selling. I think with the reduced capacity on some businesses, it's going to be really hard for them to rebound. Just in our last minute here, guys, you see a really vibrant rebound, or you think it's going to be a slow stage?
Personally, I think it's going to be so different. For example, e-commerce is spiking everywhere. So bricks and mortar is kind of, changing. The consumer going into a retail store that's too crowded probably doesn't want to do that. So there are going to be fundamental changes that, in consumer buying habits over the next couple of months.
Got it. All right, guys. Well, look, I'd love it if you sent us down some Trio to test out, and I'm happy to drink it and promote it on the show. And if you guys got any news you want to get out there, just let us know. We'll spread the word. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Thank
you very much. Bob Golden, Brian O'Byrne, president and founder of Trio Organic Fruit and Birch Water. We'll take a quick break right here and come back, wrap it up for this Money Monday.
Welcome back, folks. I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes.
How's it working?
I'm still corona free.
Didn't even wipe your fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November, and Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of
against weed, but for guns, right? There's all these different, and to me, the palette is the middle, is different shades of purple, and that's who's going to decide this election, right?
Wine's kicking in.
There you go.
It's just gonna work out after this.
30 seconds.
Right.
Your cue is you look for my 2 minutes. When I say 2 minutes left in the segment, you're filming the next guy up.
You know what I'm saying? That I spew out.
3, 2, 1, bump. Quiet on set, please.
Welcome back. All right, just wrapping it up here today for a Money Monday. Lots of money guests. Dr. Keith Abloh, Dr. Leah Lagos talking about brain power and how to stay sane in a time of complete and utter insanity. Bob Golden was here talking about his new product, the Trio Organic Fruit and Birch Water. It's vegan, it's sugar-free, it's organic, it's everything that the left wants and more in a bottle of water. And although we usually call this segment the WTF, What the Facts, Frankie's not with us for the time being as he adjusts to his new role as one of the head honchos at the new radio station 77 WABC here in New York. But I haven't made any mistakes today. I think Frankie's tuned in, if he's in tune to anyone. Oh, my buddy Mike Andrews is on there. Susan Zucconi. Hello, Susan, the coleslaw queen in New Jersey. We should have the coleslaw queen in New Jersey and the bail bonds queen of New Jersey. Michelle Eskenazi and Susan Zucconi. That would be probably a pretty funny segment. I don't think I made any mistakes today. I may have made a mistake using that blackface graphic that we used before. Somebody may find reason to hate on me for using it because, again, it happened. And I think if Donald Trump was seen with a speck of black on his face ever, they'd probably be trying to impeach him right now. But at the same time, Ted Danson, Billy Crystal, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, not pictured in my picture from earlier, but Jimmy Fallon also did some blackface. And Billy Crystal did it not once, but twice. Billy Crystal did it on Saturday Night Live years ago with Joe Piscopo. They did a Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., okay? And then he did it more recently, I think in 2012 when he was hosting the Oscars. So some people get a free pass. Other people, like Donald Trump, get smacked around like they're saying he used a racist statement by using the term kung flu, which is kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing, and I don't really get it. But things are getting crazy. We found out that, you know, at least some of the seats that were empty in Trump's Tulsa rally were empty because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her group of TikTokers, or whatever she calls them, did some online campaign to reserve seats and then not show up, so they looked empty. But here you have all the Democrats screaming about how they want to have mail-in voting, but here they are already manipulating technology and social media. And I got to say, Brad Parscale is a pretty slick social media guy. He may have got outsmarted on this one, and you know, you better step up your game, Brad. I'll tell you that, because they're going to come at you from every angle, and they sure are. This isn't going to be an easy fight, and many people are saying, "Oh, Trump's going to win in a landslide." Let me just tell you this: the one thing that you need to do. Oh, Frankie said I had too many mistakes today, far too many to list. My brother Derek's watching, and my two brothers bought me a beautiful gift for Father's Day. Derek brought over a DIY project, a new flagpole for my backyard. So I spent, you know, some portion of my Father's Day afternoon literally digging a hole with my brother who helped and my son who helped marginally. But, you know, we will have a full, beautiful flagpole in the back, flying Old Glory prominently and proudly. And thank you to my two brothers for that. Frank said plenty of mistakes. Tom DiDonato, my buddy, is watching. He's going to try to help out right now and keep me shaped up and shined up. And you know, we got a lot of things happening, a lot of fun stuff. And I'm hoping that we get out of this quarantine in the next week or two. And I'm hoping that I'm going to have some really exciting news for all the places you may be watching Liquid Lunch from. You'll probably be home or at your computer or at work or something, but I may be in a whole host of places out on the road, keeping track of what's happening, the reopening of America. I'm thinking about doing a tour. That's what I'm thinking about doing, and hitting the heartland, chugging through red states. And you know, one of my friends said I need a good midlife crisis tour, so I may hop in the tour bus and get a bunch of groupies and travel around the country, hopefully drinking free alcohol from some sponsors who put up the money for the tour, but we'll see how that happens. I'm going to try to keep my composure as I look here to my left, and I look at Aunt Jemima and the Land O'Lakes butter, the Indian, the Lucky Charms leprechaun. All these food items could be gone from our lexicon before we know it. So, you know, we might come out of this thing Joe Biden will have a black woman as a vice president. Aunt Jemima's family will be completely torn apart because they always looked up to the woman who was the face of Aunt Jemima as kind of a hero of her time, as someone who portrayed a character, and there weren't a lot of jobs for African American women back then, but you know, Miss Lillian Richard worked for Quaker Oats for 23 years, and she was a hero in her community because she was a black woman who was hired by a major company to go out there and spread the word about a great food item, Aunt Jemima syrup. Rita, yeah, we may come to Florida. I'm sure we'll breeze through Jersey. I don't know, Adrian, if we're going to be able to make it all the way out to Phoenix. It depends on budgeting and touring and times, but we're going to try to hit all the red states we can. And I think we'll wind up in Jacksonville for the Republican National Convention, but that's all I can say right now. We are going to have a terrific Tuesday tomorrow. Hopefully a wild and wacky fire-breathing dragon of a woman Wednesday on Wednesday. But a great week in store for you. Lots of news to cover. Lots more to talk about. And you should be here tomorrow, the same bat time, the same bat channel, for more Liquid Lunch. See you tomorrow.